To do. All right, what up, y'all? I am your host, Young Smoove, and once again, y'all are sitting here kicking it with Young Smoove. I appreciate it. Right now, I'll be bringing some of the hottest interviews ever because to my side, actually it's that side, but to my side, I got one of the illest MCs, thought-provoking, just out of this world, out of the element kind of dudes. DDm, say hey to everybody.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling? I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Let me tell you, like we just talked about before I went live, the admiration for what you do. The bar sensitivity is number one. The fact that you write and you are amazing with the pen game, which I've witnessed through Beautiful Gowns and now the Ballads of Omar. Like getting into you is amazing. I'm gonna tell you another reason before we get into it why I love what you do. I got into He Say She Say, which was one of the first things that I had ever really heard from you. When I got into He Say She Say, one of the things that you said in that lyric was I got big boobs and I don't like going to the gym. I said, this nigga know me. This guy right here. I don't care. And that right there, that particular moment just did it for me. And then watching the video where you had the look of Thanos, you had like almost a Missy Elliott moment. Like, yeah, I've been watching and you're amazing.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I appreciate it.
You are ever so welcome. So for those of you that don't know, DDm is everything and everywhere. And I feel like you are a big part of Baltimore's voice in a certain kind of way, especially being a huge influencer and the Secretary of Shade situation, which again does me justice. I just watched the other one the other night about the you and the wine, about the debate. Yeah. You made me realize that there was no need for me to go back and even look at the debate because there was none. It absolutely was not. But my main question wants to be, what made you, first of all, what made you start Secretary of Shade?
It was pure, some things are just happenstance, fate, and, you know, being led in a direction you don't even know you're going in. I started Secretary of Shade. I was reading Omarosa's book Unhinged. It was one of the first like Trump books. And to this day, it's still one of the only Trump books that actually has receipts, tapes. Like it was bringing something fresh to the insight on, you know, the president that we currently have. That went viral. And people kept asking me to read this, and then it developed into me talking about news topics and different things. It was very organic. Nothing about Secretary of Shade was really forced. I transitioned to YouTube probably about 2 weeks after the book started. The reading with Omarosa jumped off. I got like 1,000 subscribers that day. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And now we at what, 20,000, over 20,000 subs, which I'm very thankful for. And you know, and that's kind of like how it started.
So what was it like to sit down with Omarosa? Because I did also see that as well. And that is when I also fell in love. I was like, are you sitting down with Omarosa?
It was a beautiful moment, and you know, we still speak to each other. There's still contact there. I think she's a great lady, honestly. I think sometimes, yes, she did work in the Trump administration, but she also was one of the first people to leave once he got into office. Not defending anyone per se, but in my experience, you know, talking with her in it's now been 2 years since I read that book. She's been consistent. She was very pleasant. Like, I didn't have to travel to her to do that interview. She came to Baltimore on Utah Street. And her publisher, the lady that worked at at the publisher that she was at. Her and her makeup artist, her publisher, they came to Utah Street because Omarosa went to Howard as well.
Right.
So
HU.
right. She came, did the interview, stuck around, talked, and gorgeous sidebar. Not that this has anything to do with anything, but seeing her in person, I was like, okay, okay, like yeah. Nice lady.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, of course, I'm all about the music. I'm all about the hip hop. So, I know that the pandemic has completely changed things because, of course, clearly we're not doing this in front of each other. But how has it changed for you musically?
I haven't seen any change. I just shot a music video. There are changes. But I just shot the music video for a single I got out on Molly House, Stop My Bag. We shot probably I'm gonna go on record and say this is probably my best video that I've ever done. The same director who did He Say She Say shot it, Nick Gorey. And so I really upped the ante on this one. The fashion, like no big boy has delivered fashion the way that I delivered fashion in this video. That's just a fact, and you will see.
That is a whole thing. Let's be very clear. Let's side note right there. Fashion, the nails, which I've seen. I love the one that you posted, I think recently, which was the stormy cloud one.
After the storm. Yeah.
After the storm, right? Like I told you, the kid works. I really do my research. I dig. But I love the fact that as a young Black man in the LGBTQ community, that you always push the envelope. So I think that is admirable. Like I think that you're absolutely awesome in everything that you do there. So that is great. That is great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's gonna be a love fest. I ain't gonna lie to you, because here's what I think, and I want to ask you a question on is it because of the whole LGBTQ situation? Do you feel that it is difficult to get the ears of people in the industry or even in the Baltimore scene because of that, or do you have your own community? It doesn't even matter.
In Baltimore, I've come full circle here. Like I've sold out venues.
You have, and we're going to talk about one of those venues too.
So in Baltimore, I think I have a pretty good reputation. Of course, things could always be bigger. You can never have too many supporters. On the national level, and as far as like the label level, I remember when they wouldn't let us in the buildings, like the gay hip hop acts and things like that. We couldn't get meetings. Right. Nobody would see us. We were very fringe. We still are very fringe, and we had to kind of depend on, especially, and I'm speaking from a Black queer perspective. We had to depend heavily on white allies, fashion based companies and blogs, and alternative DIY spaces. Now we're in a place where you have, kids like Kid Ken who are signed to a major label. And, I've had my meetings, you know what I'm saying? I've met, they always want you to do more. And there's a such thing as, we don't want to sign you too early. It's a lot that goes with it, but it's a stepping stone. I feel like my career has been one of a marathon for the type of success and the type of, I won't even say success, but the type of impact and legacy that I asked God to bless me with. It will take time. And I think we're getting there. I think some days I get tired. I'll be like, I don't know. And then case in point, to Stop My Bag video, I was going to cancel it 3 times. And
really?
Yeah, because the thing is, I finance everything. So for Stop My Bag, I had to shell out between the fashion. This is the part people don't see, between the fashion, because I style everything, put the looks together. The fashion, I had to rent the venue, the property, for the video because it's a historic property that we shot it in. I had to rent the property, get the film and production insurance for it, because if you're shooting in a place like that with antiquities, a lot of the owner wants you to have production insurance in case anything gets broken and things like that. And then actually paying the director, because the director that shot it, he's not some running gun with a goddamn Sony, like small camera, or like a Canon or something like that. Like we're shooting cameras, right? Exactly. So all in all, I had to shell out about $5,000.
Sorry.
But I stopped my bad video.
You are putting that money in your craft.
So it's different for me now. And the reason why I do that, some people are like, "Are you crazy?" But the thing is, it goes back to legacy. When people go in, even if this doesn't work for me, right?
Right.
I know that there's going to be some kid, some plus size kid, some queer kid, some kid who may just not have the look, so to speak, and they'll look at that Stop My Bag video and say, oh, I can do this. This is what I can look like. I can be high fashion. I can do all of these things.
Right.
And that's what it's about. But it gets exhausting. It gets exhausting, but I love what I do.
And I think that success does not come without the work. And I think that too much is given, much is required as well. And I think that you are what I want people to walk away from this interview with is that two worlds can collide. I love hip hop regardless. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care about your sexuality. I want you to have bars within what you do, and I've witnessed that. And that was why the last time I hit you, I was like, yo, the Ballad of Omar, fucking perfection. And we're gonna go through that because that I'm itching. But I really want to know your influences, because I read a little bit about them, but have your influences changed, and who are they at this point?
The thing is, none of my projects sound the same. They have my signature voice and things like that, but I don't make the same project twice because that's boring and I'm a three-dimensional person. But as far as influences are concerned, they range. They go from anywhere from Big and Kim to, Steely Dan, George Duke. I'm a huge George Duke fan, which you're going to hear a lot about that on this next project.
No, we always on that same page here, okay?
Of course, Busta Rhymes, Missy,
yes.
A huge Neptunes fan. And I'm a big jazz lover. I love jazz, and I love Pink Floyd, things like that. A lot of right now I've been playing Abbey Road into the ground. I love Valerie Jean. Some of hers rubbed off on me in this new project as well.
Right.
So I am literally a sponge of inspiration.
Yeah, because I think that had changed. I think even in your interview with Baltimore Mag, you had definitely said some different inspirations. But yeah, I like the fact that your inspirations continue to evolve. So what is for this new project that's coming up? What is the feel like for this new project?
Oh, well, I'm working with one producer on this one, which typically I work with. I usually, the way I do my projects, I have a principal producer, and then I have like other producers that I'll get like 1 or 2 tracks from and fill it out. With this one, I'm working exclusively with one because we're making the music that we both love and have listened to for years. And we have a relationship that expands about 10 plus years.
Gotcha.
This project sounds like happiness. It sounds like it's a mood, it's a vibe in the way that I said I wanted to make a project that when the world reopens, people would feel good. people when they go to festivals, if we ever get to that point again, they can vibe the mood of what Essence Fest is, the mood of what Hampton Jazz Festival is, the mood of, you know, what AFRAM used to be. All of those things of blackness and joy and all of the great sophistication that our ancestors and those from like the 70s, 60s, 80s brought to us. This project is very sophisticated. It has a lot of melody, a lot of live instrumentation, but very, very, very deceptive in its approach. It's quite frankly my most sophisticated piece of work.
So how does the new project differ from the Ballad to Omar? Because and if I'm correct, I think that the Ballad to Omar, if you compare to what you just said for the new project, gives you almost like a wintertime feel, and like you have to you're dredging through the streets of Baltimore and then all of the experiences. But I think that this new project is supposed to be more of a spring summertime feel. Correct me if I'm wrong.
This new project is definitely something for sunshine. I call this the mood of this project champagne and sunshine. It is vastly different. It's just like Beautiful Gowns was very pop. It was very neon, very bright, and effervescent. Ballad of Omar was very dark. Like you said, that project is sweater weather. So, and the thing is, if you listen to my projects, what's crazy, and I didn't realize until I listened to Beautiful Gowns and Ballad of Omar back to back, is that the last track on every project tells you what the next body of work is going to sound like.
Okay. I thought it was just me. Because I was like, it's weird because that kind of feels that way. And then like I transitioned because of course, preparing for the interview, I'm like, yo, let me go ahead and listen to the music again. And I love actually, because I had gotten a new car, I love listening to it in the Bose surround sound system. So I hear a different quality in it. When I tell you, you can't get me off the Ballads of Omar right now. Like I really, and which leads to this. So this is the way that this works in my playlist system, and it changes frequently, of course, you know, with all of the artists that I listen to and talk to. But you, my boy Kojo, The Locks, and Nas have stayed in heavy rotation for the last 4 weeks.
Wow. Ooh.
They have stayed in heavy rotation for the last 4 weeks. I absolutely do that. So I was introduced to you, of course, by He Said, She Said. Shout out also to Chaotic Couture, because I also saw him in the video as well. Yeah. And I want to get into that because that will also lead you and I have to go into a small discussion about your versus battle situation. We'll get there. However, because we're gonna get there, because that I literally now that I get a chance to talk to you, I get a chance to scream at you about what I thought about that at that moment. However, the He Said, She Said situation came across my desk because it was on my Google timeline. So real quick, for all the kids out there that don't understand, DDM is Googleable. You understand what I'm saying to you? You can make sure that y'all go there. There are photos, there are pictures. You know what I'm saying to you? This name ring bells, shut up what you want to do. However, the beer company utilized the song. What beer company was it again?
Wet City.
Okay.
Right. They're a local bar and brewery. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the first time. And when I tell you, it got me because I was like, wait a minute, I know him, because you and I have actually been friends on Facebook for quite a while, you know, just regular acquaintances or whatever. And your name rings bells, son. Your name rings bells. There are people that was like, there are people that I've worked with and talked to, regular dudes that I work with and talk to, and when I tell you, they've literally been like, you know, the heavy set dude, I'm like, I think I know who you're talking about. But when that song came out and I was like, oh, right, that's yo. And then when you got to the got big boobs because I don't like going to the gym, I was like, oh, he know me. He know me. He understand my struggle. He get it. And then the biggest thing that I loved from that was the visual concept. And that's where I was going with my question. How do you come up with the visual concept? Because I feel in my mind, you're very circa Missy Elliott. Like you have that thing where you were that kid that was, you're like, oh, I can do this and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And I think you are finally putting it into fruition. But how does that work in your mind?
Here's the thing. If I told people the stuff that I'll be thinking about in my head, nobody would find, well, they don't finance it now, but people would think I'm absolutely insane. And they would say, how are you going to, like, how is this going to work? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I am heavily influenced by fashion and art.
See,
right. Being someone who has always been plus size, I've gotten smaller, but I've always been a chunky monkey. Fashion taught me how I needed to look. It taught me how to dress. Oddly enough, it taught me how to dress myself. Art taught me how to push it a nudge further.
Right.
So a lot of what you see is, oh, they're not going to put you in Vogue magazine. So how would you do Vogue? Or like what she say, you wouldn't be in Gentlewoman or Gentleman or Bust or, you know, things like that. How would your shoot look for shown? You know, and that's how I do it. Like even with Stop My Bag, when people see this video, I believe that they're going to swear up and down that I hired a stylist. They're going to swear up and down that I had people pull stuff. They're going to swear up and down that there were people now, it's so funny. People think because I had like a couple label meetings, they swear to God that I have like this secret label money behind me and like it's a whole thing. And they're definitely going to think that when the Stop My Bag video come out.
I feel you. You know where else I saw your creativity and I loved it? The pull-up video.
Oh yeah.
Yo, when you were on the bike in the ski mask, I said, come on now. Like, who thinks of this? And whoever the Asian kid was that was next to you, I was like, okay, so that diameter, just the way that it looks, is just so awesome. And then it was the fact, you know, you had the coat on, but you had the yellow ski mask. I was like, yo, you're just out of this box.
That was my friend Mindy. She just had a son, her husband.
Okay.
And we shot that. It was like 100 degrees outside when we shot that scene. Oh, it was so hot. We shot that video in a total of 4 hours.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Everything in 4 hours.
It is one of my favorites because of the surprise twist that's in the video. And I was like, oh, so you just gonna stunt on the block with your boys whole time. You really in love with my mans. You was cool, up, but now you don't fuck with them out here out in these streets. Oh, why? Oh, I see you. Oh, why? But yeah.
Create our stories.
Yo, I'm telling you, it's so crazy. Speaking of which, moving back, the Ballads of Omar, that last song, I was like, the last song for me pulled that album together because it said to me, yo, I'm open enough to be vulnerable and understand that these antiquated loves that seem like they the real thing and they stand in their truth, sometimes they really don't. And I was like, yo, okay, I get this. I honestly got it. I was like, I'm here for this. But one of my favorite songs on there, and I must know who this MC is the Ra-Cha-Cha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because whoever the female MC was that was on there, oh, she body.
Yeah.
Body. I was like, wait a minute. That is one of my favorites. That is one of my favorites. But what I want to also touch base on is the biggest song, and I think I kind of, in a way, not with the experience so much, but heard a lot of female voices in my head that have said this to other children. Was, I think it was "Boys Don't Cry."
Mm.
And I've heard that, and I've heard that rhetoric and the way in which people talk about that. Can you elaborate on how "Boys Don't Cry" came up and why it's such a powerful song? Because it really is.
Boys Don't Cry. First off, the two voiceovers, one is my dear friend Alex, and the other one is my dear friend Ashley, who are both very nice people.
Because if you listen to the way Ashley said stuff, you
she was like literally after, because the way I recorded it, I had them record their parts on their phone so it could sound authentic, and they just sent me the voice file. We took it in the studio, and Ashley, when she recorded her part, she was like, please let people know I'm a nice person. Like I gave her the cues, and I told her, like, I want you to sound like an ignorant ass, like hood, like mother, like Baltimore City. And she was like, all right. And that song was made. First of all, Ballad of Omar was made for men like me, for boys like me. I don't think our stories have been told with nuance, with care, and those that trauma has not been addressed in a way that is non-stereotypical. And when I wrote that record, I basically
side note real quick before you go into it, hence also goes to your post that you talked about earlier today.
Oh yeah.
You on Instagram, but go ahead. Yeah,
but when I wrote that song, I took the experiences from not only my own personal life, but I took a lot of the trauma and experiences of friends, people that I've met in support groups. I basically channel all of their stories and all of that energy and put it into a song. And people still tell me every day that song is important to them.
Yeah, I think that I, being an ally and understanding the importance of what that is, like I don't want you to ever feel as though in any way, shape, or form that an interview from you is being used upon you. You know what I'm saying to you? But I always want to be an ally because my whole thought process is this: I can never walk around in a certain kind of way and say or spout out, I don't like this, and y'all do this, and this, that, and the third. I could never do that when I turn and my favorite cousin, both of my favorite cousins, my sister are part of your umbrella. So that doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying to you? And this is why I celebrate you, because I love anybody who's bold enough to say all the shit that you say and all of the things that you do. And the nails. The nails are always amazing. The nails are always amazing.
They're gonna be together.
Wait a minute, no, because wait a minute, for quite a minute in the midst of quarantine, you was pissed that they wasn't.
Oh, I found a way to make it work. I will never cite my sources.
Okay.
But I found a way to make it work.
I know you will. I know, because I remember all of a sudden it just kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, wait a minute, what happened there? So then my other favorite song is 1995. Yeah. Look, first of all, I'm a 90s kid. You know what I'm saying to you? So like I'm 30. So we ain't gonna go there. But 1995 is also one of my other favorites. And I just love the way that you spit. Like I really do. And I get like I get those Kim vibes, the Foxy vibes. Like I see that type of rhetoric in it. So yes, 1995 is one of my favorites. Also another lyric that you said was, "You bees in the trap and never caught a buzz." I said, "Oh, he know me. He know I'm a barb. Like I caught it. I caught it." So I'm like, all the lyrics about it just literally just again. I can't do nothing but praise, and I know this should be an interview, but I can't do anything but praise this album because this album is amazing. So you're welcome. Let's actually switch gears a little bit about the performance of He Say She Say at the Metro Gallery, because you went off in your champ sweatsuit, which I was like, oh, okay. What was that experience like for you?
Metro Gallery is like home for me. Like, they've watched me grow over the years. I've made a lot of triumphant performances there, made a lot of mistakes. But Metro is home. Anytime I perform there, it's like Cheers. So it's the place where I go to test new material because at the time, He Say She Say, the video wasn't out or anything like that. I was just performing it just to see what people's response would be to it. And the response to that song, as an artist, you have certain songs that are calling cards for you.
Yeah.
And He Say She Say is a calling card for me. But yeah, it was a great experience.
And yeah, anytime you start off a song with "call the bitch," just call the bitch, and Siri don't understand what you talk about, I was like, okay, I'm here for that. So did we ever receive Soundtrack to a Shopping Mall?
Soundtrack to a Shopping Mall. Actually, if you blinked, you missed it. I had put it on SoundCloud and I had uploaded it to SoundCloud and it was only going to be available for 48 hours. It was available for 24. I had uploaded the cover, all of the concept art, the video that I shot for that can never go out, the album and everything. And I got a cease and desist 24 hours in because that record was intentioned to be shot for a major.
I got you.
That was going to be a major label or at the very least a major indie debut. It didn't quite go that way, but I loved the record and I had put so much time and money and effort into it. I was like, I want somebody to hear these songs. But a lot transpired with Soundtrack to a Shopping Mall. Soundtrack to a Shopping Mall was a beautiful lesson. It was a terrible heartbreak, but it was a beautiful lesson.
And was it considered your ode to like Mondawmin and all the rest of the malls that we have here as well? Because that was kind of something that I was reading into it. So was it supposed to be tied that way, or how was the feel?
It was the concept, because I'm a concept artist. The concept was a Saturday, from a Saturday morning to a Saturday night. And it took you through a person waking up in the morning, getting in the car, going to find an outfit, getting their hair cut, getting ready for the party, and then going to the party, having a good time, the drive home, kissing, their significant other, their boo, and then getting into bed. And with Soundtrack, it was also sonically an ode to 80s pop culture. It was an ode to big records. It was an ode to dance music, but it was also an ode to the great hip hop records. And the songs had themes. I had a song Rude that was about customer service. Forever 21 actually made it onto Beautiful Gowns. I had Birthday Bitch was on that. Paper or Plastic was on that. People loved that record. The people that heard it in those 24 hours, they was like, oh my God.
And I'm so mad. I'm so mad because like after reading that, I was like, oh shit. Like I read the article again, doing my research and doing what I do. But I was like, shit. I was like, are we ever gonna get this? And then I was like, maybe we already have. And I'm like, damn. Now I feel like I missed out on a part of it. But again, like I said, I didn't get involved into your music until He Say She Say, which it's still my thing. So, but you know what? The one thing that you also pointed out in the interview that I liked was the feel of Mondawmin and the back in the day and the Metro Tubes and all of that stuff. Because Metro Tube was the first place that I ever got my very first CD, which was The Firm. and I loved it. Which I call it The Firm, which is actually titled The Album. I did not know that, but that's fine. But to what was it? Scotty that used to work at Metro 2, and all the DJs. So I love the fact that you always pay homage to this city. Always pay homage to this city. So I do want to switch gears a little bit and get your thoughts because you are so well spoken. Let me ask you, have you been invested in anything in this Jaguar Wright story?
I have looked at some of like at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, when she first started going off, I was intrigued and I was like, bitch. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But then now as the stories go forward, and I'm not saying she could totally be telling the truth.
I believe it.
She could totally be, there's a saying, there's three sides to the story, their side, your side, and the truth. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure a few things have been embellished.
Oh yeah.
But I kind of like I'm touch and go with it.
Yeah, me too. Like it actually, to be honest, I only really got interested once a YouTuber kind of brought it to my attention, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like I hadn't, and that was the Storm Monroe show, and that was only because of the fact that he actually had the interview and the sit down with her. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching it, and that's when I went off because it was like all of the stuff she had been talking about last month. I was like, I didn't care, but then first of all, you got it married, and that made me feel a certain kind of way at first. You know what I'm saying to you? Because I was like, I love Murray. Don't do Murray like that. We know Murray can't hold no good notes. We get that. But she got something. She got putzpah. She got
something. The reality is Mary J. Blige has a legacy. She has classics. She doesn't have hit records. She has classics.
Right.
And that's a testament to, I'm gonna tell you something. Talent matters, but you being talented does not mean that you're gonna be successful. If you don't know how to navigate the business and make your friends, and I'm not going to lie, watching these interviews, I kind of understand why, or these go-off sessions she be having, I kind of understand why she only got but so far. Yeah, some people may have been threatened by your talent. That's another thing too. I don't think any artist should depreciate their talent, but sis, like you can sing, but it's girls that can sing better than you. Like you're not. The thing that is kind of jarring about her go offs is you would think she was Whitney Houston. The way
I was wondering, I was like,
you would think she was Whitney Houston. The way the way she make it seem like everybody was so threatened by her talent that they just would not let her shine. And I'm like, sis, like.
And one of the things is I think that hurt people. You know what I'm saying too? Because I think that she's hurt by the fact that her career didn't take off in the way in which she thought it was supposed to take off. And you can be in the industry and keep all the little secrets. That's no surprise to anybody. You could fall down the rabbit hole of YouTube on any day, and every conspiracy theory is out there, and most of the people have said the same thing. So you kind of aren't saying anything that's any different. It's nice to hear it from someone that is in the industry.
She was there. That's the difference.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it sounds good in theory, but it's something that you got to kind of take with a wooden spoon. You got to spoon feed it because it's hard to believe. And then there was something else that I wanted to get your opinion on. Oh no, let's talk about this. Okay, because we got to go here. So are we Kim or are we Nikki? And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm going here because you killed that battle, and I'm gonna explain why. But go ahead.
We're both. Kim is a person in the artist who her blueprint is still being followed. Like Little Kim is one of the most important rappers in the history of hip hop because she is her blueprint. Her DNA is still defining what a successful female rapper is, what a successful female rapper should look like, what a successful female rapper should sound like, and the content that a successful female rapper has to deliver. That's just facts.
Yes.
She's more important than a lot of the greatest lyricists of our time.
Bro, when you threw out Aunt Dot in that battle, I said, oh, we going here. We are going
Yeah.
here. It made us, for everyone that sat there that night and watched, it's still on your IGTV, right?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all need to check that out. Because we'll never get that on the actual verses. Let's be clear. That's never gonna really happen. But I literally sat there and was like, yo, you pulling out stuff that's just out there. You know what I'm saying to you? And you justified each record amazingly. And I was like, okay. And Chaotic Couture came back with some bangers. Nicholas, she got bangers, she do. But I
don't
feel
think they played the right ones necessarily, but
right.
yeah.
But I feel you on the fact that Kim withstands the test of time. Here's the thing, and I realize that is the case. I have MC parties, you know what I'm saying to you. That's part of my brand as well. So I know for a fact that if you won't play All About the Benjamins, you skip Kim part, people coming at your neck.
Yeah.
You play Quiet Storm in any kind of way, shape, or form. You don't play the remix version, people coming at your neck.
Yeah.
You better play Jump Off, because it has to happen. And that's the same thing. And it is the same thing for Nicki. But like Nicki, you almost have to go back to mixtape days, because if you don't play, you can play the Get Silly version, but if you don't play Itty Bitty Piggy, they go off. They go off in the club. You have to. These are essentials, and I think that's why they are the queens of the game. So yeah, definitely. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I think that you are an amazing talent.
Thank you.
I can't wait. Did you title this new album?
I did, but I have a superstition until I never release the title until we're in mixing stage.
Okay.
Of course, it's something grand because that's just me.
Right.
But I do have a title for it. Actually, believe it or not, we only need about maybe 2 more songs, and we've gotten the full musical landscape of it done. We'll probably be finished this record by the end of the year.
Okay. And you know what I love about your themes? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Beautiful Gowns, was that the homage to Aretha Franklin and her shade that she threw?
Yeah, I love the title, and Beautiful Gowns was, it's about shade. It's also about, I feel like with what I was presenting, it also represents a certain cross section of queer people.
Right.
Beautiful gowns. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful gowns.
Right.
So yeah,
and with the ballads of Omar, what I also loved, because you couldn't have walked away without doing it, was the fact that you added the parts of The Wire in there too.
Oh, those were parts. We created those specifically for the project. So that project, it sounds like it samples every one of those like with the guy that's talking in the beginning, like, when I see that nigga Omar, I'm gonna get him. That's actually Jay Royale doing that part. I had him record a part in his phone, send it to me, and we dropped it there. So every one of those voiceovers, like, those are all friends. That's Jay Royale on the intro. My homeboy Benny at the beginning of Ra Cha Cha. Ashley and Alex on Boys Don't Cry. The Dirt Bike segment, that's Cam's homeboy, her producer Dewey. Yeah, it's all, none of that is, the project was created to sound like a sample, but none of it is samples.
I love it. And if that's the case, that's where my mind went to. And to be honest and be like, it's authentically created for that. Again, another level of dopeness that you just don't get nowhere else. I mean, my last question though for you before you go, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. How does it feel to be an influencer? because you're a big deal. You're not just, I'm sitting at 1,000, 2,000 people. You're at like decades at this point. How does it feel to be an influencer? Because I've watched people on your Facebook line and they like, you right, DDM. I don't understand why. So, this particular point in your career, how does it feel to be an influencer?
I don't think about it too often, to be honest. I think part of the reason people follow me is because they know I'm true. And I tell them all the time, I may say things that you don't like, that you're going to disagree with, but we at least can always come to the table and have the discussion.
Yes.
Just don't be disrespectful. And knowing that people do, especially with the political stuff, knowing that people do follow me, I do owe it to them, and I owe it to what I'm doing to actually do research. So when I present things, I always advise people, do your own research, fact check me, hold me accountable, keep me honest. But I do my own research, so that when I speak on things, I'm speaking on them from a place of knowledge and a place of facts, because there's enough alternative facts out here. So I feel responsible. It's not something that I think about where I'm like, oh, I've got this many K or that many people. To be honest, I'm thankful for the kind words, the inboxes that I get, and it makes me like, even when Taco passed yesterday, my cat, the level of love and outpouring that I got. People sent me kind words. Some folks sent me money. It was I was very thankful. Thankful.
I think that I think for one, people understand it. Even looking back at some of the other and earlier Secretary of Shade situations, you've seen Taco. So I think that people have kind of grown with him. And like we talked about earlier, before we got on live, like even with the verses, and I was one of the people like, oh, what's up the Taco? You know what I'm saying to you? Because I've watched and dealt with that. So once again, my condolences go out to you. I have lost an animal like 8 years ago, and I still post her like it's yesterday. So I get it. I get it. And it is the weirdest thing. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. When my dog died, I was like Miss Celie from The Color Purple, trying to clean up around the house for Miss to get home. It was very sad. And it's like that particular day was just, it was so much, but it was the having to put her down part was the hard thing. Because the play part is something that's just like, okay, what am I doing? But I didn't want her to suffer. You know what I'm saying to you? So suffering was the bigger point. And when I tell you all them dogs that were in there, I carried this 80-pound mongrel across my shoulder. And when I tell you all the dogs that was in there literally was like, and they came up to me and they just put their paws on me. And I'm in full-fledged tears, just crying, just gone. And they literally put their paws on me. And I think the animals are so important because they can literally sense that. Like they didn't bark, and she was still in a defensive mode, hurt, all of that. She's on my shoulder, like, what's going on? What are they doing? What are they doing? The whole time, every dog in there was like, oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So I feel you. I say all of that to say that I definitely feel you about Taco.
Thank you.
You are ever so welcome. But I also want to leave you with note that I think a lot of times people take a level of humbleness, you know what I'm saying to you, where people are like, oh, I see you getting interviews, and like myself, you getting interviews and you doing all of this, and how are you doing it? The reality is I'm asking, because you could easily say no, and that's my bottom line. I say all of that to say this, like, I think that you should understand that you about to start taking on a way bigger thing that's bigger than you, and you are a leader in your division, and be humble in it. But understand, pat yourself on the back, because you killing it out here.
Thank you.
Ever so welcome. And I would hope, when the new project comes, you call up the kid, you know what I'm saying, to you and say, hey, Troy, I need another interview. Yo, Smoove was good.
Absolutely.
That happens, absolutely. But I'm about to ask you because I got work in my head. I'm like, you got any questions for me? No, that's weird. So once again, y'all, this is my man DDM. He is utterly amazing, a complete talent, fearless in what he does, an influencer. Make sure y'all check him out at his Secretary of Shade and drop the rest of your links. What are your rest of your links and where can people find you?
You can follow me everywhere. It's all uniform now because my manager was like, it needs to be uniform. It's all at Dapper Dan Midas. So you can Twitter, Instagram, Venmo, Cash App. Everything is Dapper Dan Midas. Yep.
Absolutely. So I want you to stay on because I want to have a small conversation with you before you dip out and into the atmosphere. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, you have kicked it with Young Smoove. You know what I'm saying to you, my guest DDM, who is freaking amazing. Don't y'all feel better about it? I know you do. You know what I'm saying to you. Don't forget to check out the podcast, you know what I'm saying, which is Kicking It with Young Smoove podcast. Don't forget you can chill here with me with my late night interviews that will be coming up. We're Kicking It with Young Smoove. So I got some extra special guests that are coming up in the building. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying to you? DDM, once again, I absolutely appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right. So